What's good, everyone? Welcome to another reading. Now, this one is going to be on action, or maybe taking some action on something. And to introduce you, introduce you. I don't know why that word's hard for me this morning. Um, to give an introduction to this reading, um, I'm gonna. I guess let's play a game. Not to sound like a Saw movie, but let's play a game. Uh, I'm gonna ask you two questions, and I want you to give an answer based on the first thing that comes to your mind. So the first question is: would you say that you're selfish? So insert your answer. The second question is: would you say that you are motivated by money? Then insert your answer. So just answer the question and see what comes to your mind. Now, the thing is that a lot of people will say no to both of those questions. And as I always say on this channel, I like to open people's eyes not only spiritually, like the third eye, but to the reality that we live in and human behavior. Now, I would personally say that I am selfish and I am motivated by money. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person and I don't have good intentions for people. But I've come to realize that not even the majority, pretty much all people are selfish and all people are motivated by money. Now, it might not be necessarily, certain cultures, we might use different words for that money, right? Like material things, even shiny things or things that we want. But generally, I come to realize that most people are selfish, near enough all people are selfish, and near enough all people are motivated by money. Now, I'm going to give you an example, right? If I ask you just to touch your nose right now, you might be thinking, why is he asking me to touch my nose? I don't want to do that. Now, if I said to you, I'm going to show you just a crazy ass awesome thing. I want you to open up your PayPal or whatever, your PayPal, and every time you touch your nose, I'm gonna put $100 into your PayPal account, and you're gonna see this go. You're gonna see this happen live. Now, don't get me wrong. There's still gonna be a sense here of being skeptical. You're gonna question this, but let's just say, for example, you were the type of person who took on this challenge, who essentially believed me, and you opened up your PayPal, and then you touched your nose, and in front of your own eyes, 100 quid was put into your account, $100 or whatever currency you use was put into your account, and then you touch your nose again, another 100 quid into your account. Now, I'm just giving you that as an example, for whoever's listening on the other side, that from doing something that you didn't want to do, and trust me, you would start touching your nose a lot more times when you're seeing that 100 pounds or dollars going into your account. Now, that might be something hard for you to actually agree with, but I guarantee you, 99.9% of people would partake in touching their nose when they're seeing the $100 or 100 pounds going to their account. And best believe that if that was $1,000 or £1,000, $100,000 or £100,000, they'll be touching their nose even quicker. So, for any of you, like, I don't know who's necessarily on the other side of this video, but you might have said that, yeah, you're selfish and yeah, you're motivated by money, for both of those questions. But that was kind of just a little bit of an awakening for people who might have said no to that. Is that you find that a lot of people who say no to things like that, um, they haven't kind of woken up and smelled the coffee yet. They're maybe dealing with things, where they're kind of living the lie, and they might be living the lie for all kinds of reasons. It might be because you know, you know, parts of us, even myself, I'm a sheep in many ways. What everyone else is doing, I'm doing too, because I don't know any better. You might be part of the sheep still in certain ways. You might have issues with guilt, or maybe caring too much about how other people perceive you. But, there's a long list of reasons why you might have asked no to that question. You might not even, you might be that you're not being honest with yourself in certain areas. It might be that you've got some wounds around someone being selfish, being horrible, like it's not a part of human nature. Like, I always find it funny when people say things like, most people are good-hearted, like, for example, don't get me wrong, I think 90% of the news is bullshit, but there's other people who are on the other side a little bit too much, which are like, yeah, the news always just talks about bad things, and at the end of the day, people are actually good inside. People mean well, and I'm just calling bullshit on that. Like, most people don't mean well. Most people are selfish. Most people care about their own world, and they're in this illusion that to make themselves feel better, that they actually care about others in that same way. Like, the reality always gives you the truth. If people really cared about, um, if everyone really cared about other humans in the way that they claim, like, most businesses would be humanitarian. If people really cared about others, there just wouldn't be any homelessness. Like, it just wouldn't exist. So that's the actual answer to that. If what people think, if people think that's true, they're not actually looking in that mirror well enough, because the truth will, the truth sets you free, as they say, but like, the the reality will always give you the truth. Like, if your heart is really, really made of gold, you wouldn't only give that homeless person some spare change. You would, you know, bring that homeless person in and almost help them back to recovery. And I know there's probably someone on the other end of this saying, "Oh no, that's self-sacrificial," and blah 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 blah. But I'm just being real here. I'm just saying it for what it is. Like, you can come up with a million excuses of why you've got a good reason not to do that. And I'm trying to tell you, behind every but that you're about to give me is because you're actually selfish, because you're actually self-serving, and part of the problem we have in this world is that everyone lives the lie and everyone reaffirms the lie. And what actually happens to you when you start doing that is you attract other people who agree with that lie. And that means that your partners are part of that same lie. That means your friendship circles are part of that same lie. you are what you attract type energy. So, um, yeah, I just thought I would give you that, like, not to give you something too heavy for your day. I want to kind of leave this introduction in a positive note, which is the reality is usually, you know, some good and bad. It's rarely just all good or all bad. So I started off this video talking about people being selfish and driven by money. Well, for one, we can't even necessarily even say, is that a good or bad thing? You know, like in my mind, for example, when it took me a while to reprogram myself. Being selfish, when I hear that word, that used to make me think that's a bad thing. I no longer think that. I'd say being he's too selfish or she's too selfish is on the bad side. That person's not selfish enough is also on the bad side. But selfish has become this almost neutral word. And it's the same as being driven by money, you know? It's somewhat of this neutral thing, I think I've been on both sides of that. I've been like on the scarcity side, and I've also been on kind of, uh, I think it was an automatic bounce back from being on the scarcity side, like, um, kind of growing up in a environment where just money was always scarce when I was growing up. I think my reaction to that when I caught onto what was happening was which it was basically too much of the loving of money. But I don't even think there's anything wrong, to be honest, too much with loving money. But I just knew that it was coming from a place of not having it, you know, and that made me almost like, in many ways, like a chaser of the money. And I would say that I've come to some form of healthy ground now of almost seeing money in that same light. It's kind of neutral. Because through that journey I had, I realized, okay, so when you have no money, like, I don't care what people say, like, even for the person who sits on top of the mountain meditating, saying that they don't need money, like, there comes a point when you're sitting on that mountain where, first of all, you go, the top of that mountain is gonna turn into night soon. Eventually, being on top of that mountain when the sun's shining, it's gonna turn into night and you're gonna need to seek shelter. It might rain one day. So without money, then where do you get that shelter from? Sitting on that mountain, yeah, you can fast for maybe a few days, but eventually you're gonna get hungry. Where does that food come from? And to think that everyone is just gonna provide for you in that situation. Maybe if you're a pretty girl, you might get a bit further than most of us. But generally, there comes a point where even that concept of, like, the Buddhist monk on the mountain, there is some form of material being given or being harvested or being worked for in that process. So, you can be on that side and realize that actually, money is somewhat important. And then, at least for me, on my lesson of acquiring abundance, one of the things that I learned from that, which I didn't expect that I would learn, is kind of, when people almost say, well, there's many lessons I could give for both of these, but one of the ones that stand out is when people say not all money is good money. That's what I learned from acquiring a lot of abundance. I learned a lot, like when, I first started coming into money, I really realized the concept of, even when someone gives you money, pays for your service, wants a product from you, it's not always from a good place. It's not always good intentions. It's not always, like, everyone's got different mindsets, so it's like one person might give you money. Someone might give you a shitload of money because they just love what you do. And then there's another person who gives you a shitload of money because they're trying to control you, or they want something from you that you can't give them, or you've got boundaries in that area. And yeah, someone might be wondering like, what do you mean? But it's like, sometimes just people have like nasty intentions. I guess if you're a woman, it can be like romantic or something like that. But for men, it's still like people still try and pimp your ass in one way or another. And you'll understand that, like, if you have a job, you'll just realize that pimping is frowned upon because of the industry that they're operating in. But pretty much every business, to an extent, is some form of pimping. Now, sometimes the pimp that you've got is a nice guy, and that's a blessing in itself. And sometimes the pimp's a psychopath. So that's what you learn a lot about with money and coming into money. I think maybe you can learn that lesson at being at the bottom of the ladder too. When you're desperate for money, it's easy for someone to get pimped when they're desperate for money. But like, I think I learned that lesson more so when I was coming into money, because I was like more in the mindset of, that's a lot of money. So it's like, that's the trouble with money, is that when there's a lot of it, you're more likely to pimp yourself out, to get pimped. When the money is a lot, you're like, oh well, but it was X amount. Whereas when you're poorer, it's like, you're getting fucked over, but you might be in desperation for whatever reason. The pimp and the person getting pimped, the relationship is more clear for both parties. But the higher you get up, the more money you make, the more that line is blurred. That line is really blurred. So I learned it much better on the other side of that, because the line, I think that's the best way of putting it, the line was blurred. So for everyone who's listening, I hope I gave you some nuggets there. In fact, it's not even I hope I gave you some nuggets there. I gave you some nuggets there. I hope you was able to absorb it. And like I always say, I hope you're able to improve your own life through that information, through that knowledge. Sometimes in life we have to experience these things for ourselves. Sometimes we can learn it from the stories that are told to us. But either way, like I said, I hope I've given you something to digest there. This is on Action to Take. As always, we've got pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. Feel free to pause the video if you need to, and I'll start with pile number 1s. Pile number 1s, action you need to take. What do you see? What do you feel? Interesting. Um, Obviously, again, like use your own intuition here. Um, the energy that came through for me on this reading was actually, and it's not the first time this type of energy has come through a little bit in explaining things. It reminds me of like the abstract artist who splatters something onto the page. We're kind of zoomed into one of those splatters, and what's important here, I think where you need to take action, pile number ones, is you need to just get it on the page. And if you've ever been to an art class, actually, it's given me memories actually of kind of a few art teachers I've had. They used to always say that actually, just get it on the page. Like start it. It's like an essay. It's the same with an essay. If anyone's gone to university here and done dissertations and stuff, or even wrote books, written books, one of the things that people drill into your head is just get it out. Just put it out there. Just do it. So I think that energy is coming through here, part number ones. There's something, maybe it might be creative, it may not be creative. There's something here that's inside you that you just want to, spirit is saying, just get it out. Get it on the page. Just do it. Get it out of you. Don't care too much about how it looks. Just put it out there. It's almost like, in more of a crude way, it's almost like vomit it out. Puke it out. Now, the thing that you're producing might be a whole load prettier than vomit. But whatever, we might even be talking about your kind of darker aspects here. Like, just get it out. Because, like even here on this channel, it's like, one thing that I get the most proud of with some of my videos is expressing my true darker aspects, because they're always the harder videos to produce. They're always the harder points to make. It's easy to give the kumbaya speech, but it's so much harder talking about the vulnerability or the hard lessons I've learned. The shame, the stupidity, the embarrassment, if I haven't said that already. They're always harder things to talk about. Always. But, and the funny thing is sometimes they're the things that help people most. But then because you've gone, because other people might relate to it and have gone through it, they're sometimes the things that people don't necessarily like react to, because it just hits them so hard. It's like almost if this was in the world of social media, it's like there should be, I can't remember how many buttons there are on things nowadays, but let's say if there's the like button, there's the dislike button, and then there's like the share button, for example. Like in reality, there would be actually a like button, and in between the dislike and like button, there would be a button which like kind of just represent, I feel you. So it's not necessarily that I agree with you or I disagree with you, but like I feel you. I fucks with that, and the like doesn't quite do it. Like I feel it, there should be like a third button that would never exist, because we're not on that type of vibration yet. But in reality, like when you see a piece of content or something, you're like, I don't like that, I don't dislike that. And it's not even so much that I feel it as well. Sometimes it's like, I appreciate the courage that it took to do that. That would be the other button. And what happens mostly is that people ignore that. because it's not quite a like and it's not quite a dislike. Like another way to put this as well is like there should be like a truth button. So it's like click the button and like it's truth. And there should be a button to say this video is truth. I don't like it because it triggered the fuck out of me. I don't dislike it because I know it's true. So there's this like yellow button in the middle, like the yellow star. Yo, file number 1, give me the yellow star if you fuck with it. There's like the yellow star to go. Ain't that some truth? So pile number 1. So hopefully I've given you some inspiration here to get your message out there. You know, sometimes it's hard. It's not always easy, but it's worthwhile in the end. So, like I said, I hope there was some inspiration there. If you enjoyed the video, please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Alright, pile number 2 is what have we got for you? Need to strip, I'm getting a bit hot. I feel like, so already the action is something to do with, need some water as well. The action, sorry, I kind of got caught away into the reading. There's something to do here with acquiring new knowledge. It's funny, a similar patterning to pile number 1's, but completely different energy. I'm getting almost like 2 bullets. Boof, boof. 2 bullets. And I actually feel like this isn't necessarily negative, but I do feel like this is how the knowledge is coming to you. So pile number 2's, it's probably on taking action on this knowledge. There's going to be 2 things that you know, it might be a mentor, a teacher, a friend, a lover. They're giving you 2 bits of knowledge. So if you listen to the introduction, I actually gave, if you like, 2 bits of knowledge in asking you, are you selfish and are you motivated by money? That's not your 2 bullets. I feel like pile number 2's, oh, you're pile number 2 as well. There's someone, actually, I feel like it's more in your life. I feel like you're almost sitting down having a conversation with someone. It could be like an interview for some reason. It's like the type of feeling almost like you went for an interview but you didn't get it. But the person liked you. So they still helped you. I can think of this actually as an example. I don't want to put the name out there, but there's quite a famous architect that I stayed in contact with, where I applied for their job when I was pretty much still an intern, and I didn't have enough experience for the job. And looking back, I quite literally didn't have enough experience. You know, when people are actually bullshitting you with that, or there's no empathy in the fact that sometimes when you're starting off as a student, it's like, how do I get that experience if I don't get a job from someone? But looking back, I think what actually happened with me is, at least in the UK here, there's something called like part 1 assistant, part 2 assistant, and then you're an architect. They call that part 3. So if you ever hear me in readings talking about part 3 trauma, that's what I'm talking about. So anyways, in this interview, I could be wrong, but I believe that I was I was a part one at the time. So I'd just done my first bachelor's degree, and the job role was literally for part twos. But it's not even that I was on a high horse or anything. It's just, when you're looking for a job, it can be tough, and there wasn't always available jobs. So I tried my luck at this one position, and I think the guy just appreciated my determination and the fact that I was hungry for it. So he kind of gave me some pointers well on after that interview, which he didn't have to do. And I used that advice, and I wouldn't say that's a big reason for why I'm at where I'm at, but a tiny little 0 point something percent, it definitely helped. And it definitely made me realize as well, this might be part of your message, pal number 2, is sometimes when we don't get things in life, we can easily go into the self-pity, I'm not good enough mindset. And one of the things that taught me, which was really helpful, is that the interview was a no. It was a clear no, but it was balanced by the fact that it wasn't that I wasn't good. Sometimes we need that in life. There was clear advice given to me, which let me know that I was worthy for where I was trying to go. It's just that particular vacancy that was available that weren't for me. And sometimes that's a blessing in itself. When someone gives you the no, they kind of give you the why it's a no, but they let you know that you're going in the right direction. So I feel like that's kind of the energy that this reading is sitting in. And I just feel like you need to hear that, pile number 2. It might even just be, what I just said. That's just maybe what you need to hear, but you just need to believe it in yourself. Sometimes we get these no's in life, and they're not necessarily no's to say that we're not good or we're not good enough. It's, sometimes that thing just, it's not aligned. There's times where people say that as bullshit to mask what they're truly thinking, and there's times where that's just actually true. That's just what it is. And obviously I know that now as someone who has my own business. I get CVs coming through all the time, and it's actually really strange for me. People don't realize, I guess there's students out there and stuff who've seen me lecture and stuff, but if I was to be completely honest, when I get, till this day, when I get emails coming through with people's CVs, it's still sometimes a bit weird for me, because I remember being that student looking for that opportunity, and I can pretty much instantly tell when that student or that professional is aligned to work with me and when they're not. And it's just quite strange being on the other side of that, That's the only way I can put it from my own experience, and maybe that's something that you're going through as well, part number 2. It's actually quite strange. The feeling is strange. And then you snap out of that and go, okay, well, what are we doing? But there's a certain feeling of, damn, I've literally experienced both sides of that now, and it's quite odd. So anyways, pile number 2 is, I hope you was able to get something from this reading. I hope you're going to come away wiser, stronger, more knowledgeable. And whatever you're up to, I'm rooting for you as always. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Pile number 3s. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you see? What do you feel? It reminds me of the Spinning Tops. It reminds me of the movie. I haven't seen that since it came out. What's that movie called? Oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna watch it now. What the fuck's that movie? Sorry for my French. What's that movie called? I can't even remember who's in it now. Is it Leonardo DiCaprio? Oh gosh, what is it? I can't remember the name of that movie. Where there's the dreams inside of the dreams. I can't remember for the life of me what it's called. You're probably gonna know what I'm talking about though, pile number 3s. And you know, the world just, the city, like the the architecture just folds in on itself and all of that stuff. What's that movie called? Damn. Help me out in the comments, pile number 3s, if you've got the energy. But I remember it definitely ends with the spinning top. You might be kind of this might be pile number 3s. Um, Quite literally taking action on your dreams. Taking action on your dreams. Now, the good news is you've come to the right place. For whatever weird and wonderful reason, God has given me this gift to have a dream, anchor in on it, and be able to execute on my dreams. For some weird and wonderful reason, I can't tell you why. It's a battering, actually. I think what people don't even realize is that for people who fulfill their dreams, part of it is just holding on to the dream. Because it's like everyone around you, not everyone, that's an exaggeration, but I'd say maybe a majority of the people around you, at least if your dream is big, are trying to convince you how the dream is too big. So just to hang on to that dream is the challenge in many ways itself. The second bit of advice I want to give you, pile number 3s, is part of executing on a dream is the kind of the brick by brick process. It's the stage by stage. And in that stage by stage, sometimes it can feel like we're not accomplishing our dream when we are. So one thing that I look back on at the things that I have been able to achieve is there were certain times where I was putting the bricks into the right position, and because I was focused so much on the finished product, I wasn't necessarily giving myself credit for each brick that I was putting on. So that's the second bit of advice that kind of will help you along your journey for building your dream, is that there's a tricky balance there of wanting the dream to be here tomorrow and not appreciating each little piece that makes the dream. I'm getting an analogy coming through at the moment, which is of my grandma. My grandma is obsessed, not even obsessed anymore. She's a bit fed up of him now. She's in her 90s. Amazing woman. Um, Kind of there's two grandmas that had specific who had impact on a lot of who you see here today. One of them's not with us, but one of them, at least at the time of writing this or doing this video, is with us, and she's in her 90s, and at least when she was a little bit younger, still a grandma but younger, she was obsessed with making puzzles. And I'm getting that analogy because that's a little bit like our dreams. It's like on the box of the puzzle, it shows the complete image. So that's important because we know what we're creating. And then you open up the box and there's all these pieces. And it's like, where do you start? Well, I can't tell you how my grandma does all these amazing puzzles, but I'd assume she probably starts off in the corners and works into the center. Because at least with the corners, you can see the edge. You know where the boundary is. And from the edge of that boundary, you can start working inwards. So just like our dreams, that Spirit was giving me that analogy, like talk about your grandma and the puzzles. Because I guess the dreams are like the puzzle. And we start off with the edge. And then we work our way inwards. And we essentially realize that, you know, sometimes it takes us a few puzzles to realize this, but eventually, hopefully, you realize that actually part of the beauty of the puzzle is not just in the completion of it, like the Buddhists say. The beauty is in figuring out the puzzle. So at least for me, maybe I wouldn't even say like some of my biggest dreams obviously haven't been accomplished yet, but some of my smaller dreams, I guess I had to realize that lesson in order to savor the journey of my bigger dreams that I've got. So you might find pile number 3 is that, you know, you're working on a few puzzles before you get to your big puzzle. And those first few puzzles, they're great primers to learn that lesson. As I always yap about on this channel, like one of mine was to be an architect. That was actually a dream of mine. And it's a dream because it's so long. It's bloody so long to qualify. So, just so people understand, like for me, that was always like, I'm not sure what your profession is, pile number 3 is, but you know how some people see like doctors, like, oh man, that's a really long thing. And most people who are doctors don't even want to be a doctor. So me being an architect, that was like that long challenge, but I actually wanted to be that thing. Like I didn't, like if anything, my mum, she kind of grew us up saying, be a doctor. But no one kind of grew me up saying, be an architect. You know, it was by my own damn choice. I didn't realise that I may as well have put that time into being a doctor, even though, because time-wise, I probably would have become a doctor quicker. But the point is that it was my dream. Like, being a doctor wasn't my dream. Being an architect was my dream. And in a weird way, like, even some of the practices that I worked for, they were kind of dreams of mine. and I actually got it. So yeah, part number 3 is just to end. At least for me, it took some of those smaller dreams to come to fruition before I could appreciate the bigger dreams. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's almost the way it's meant to be. You know, it's almost, you could almost relate this to relationships. And it's like getting your dream girl, and then that doesn't really work out for whatever reason. And then you actually meet your actual dream girl, and it's like, oh man, like everything I learned from my older dream girls made me the perfect compatible match for this dream girl. And then obviously, depending on your sexual orientation and gender, etc., you might be saying dream man or whatever. So part number 3 is, that's your reading. Filled with wisdom. I hope you was able to take some nuggets. If you enjoyed the video, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. Check out the If You Pause website, ifyoupause.com. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.